Hi there. This year my LEGO City turns 9 years old, and I decided to tell you how it was possible for me to create this beautiful LEGO City that you see now on a small piece of land. I must say right away that it was not easy, but in life everything is given only if you make a lot of efforts and give yourself the metal with all your soul to achieve this. Now I'll tell you how from the usual children's playing mud, this all was able to scale into a LEGO City which is open air all year round. I have not seen anyone else doing such projects, except for the LEGO company of course. So, let's go! This is the last video in this series of videos and possibly the last video on the channel. To be honest, it was difficult for me to make these videos from a moral point of view, since this is entertainment content and it's not particularly appropriate during the war. But it had to be done in order to remember what my LEGO City was like in 2022. Now everything that happens is changing very dynamically and you don't know what will happen next. Well, here you have already seen a few shots of how my LEGO City looks like in 2022. Let's now fast forward to 2013 and see how it all began. Like many children, since childhood, I loved to play in the mud and build entire settlements or fortresses from earth and clay. But later, when the internet appeared in our house, I saw a toy big city made of plastic bricks here. It was Legoland Beyond. I really liked this idea, and I thought, why not to try to build at least a small fragment of the town from the constructor? This is how the idea of building Legoland Kharkiv was born. This is what the future Legoland Kharkiv looked like in 2013. Then there were not many buildings from the constructor and all of them were here temporarily. Before that, this place was used for building materials and was just a place where my sister, brother and I used to play as children. Already then, in summer of 2013, several roads made of mud were laid, which in the future will be the main roads of the future city. In December of 2013, I took the first LEGO building into the snow in order to observe what changes will occur with plastic under the influence of various natural phenomena throughout the winter. This building was a car service station. Since it was the first building, for some reason I pasted over it with adhesive tape and super glue. So over time it began to look rather unkempt. But if this building had not withstood the weather tests, then this city might not exist. In the spring of 2014, the construction of the LEGO City began and the entire foundation was poured with concrete. Around the same time, the conflict in Donbass and the annexation of Crimea began in Ukraine. Therefore, in the early years of its existence, my LEGO City was quite militaristic and for several years I held military parades in it. The main goal was to complete the construction by the end of the summer of 2014 and to coincide with the opening of the LEGO City on the day of Kharkiv. I managed to achieve that goal. Finally, Legoland Kharkiv celebrated its first birthday as a town with many fixed structures. Also, all the same, I believe that the city was founded in the summer of 2013. At that time, the concept of the future city began to emerge from scrap materials. Then buildings were built in the city that you can see today. This is a government building, a residential building, a small shopping complex, a car service station and a rest house. Also that year was built a railway station, a large factory, a residential building with McDonald's and a hospital on the ground floor, a small bank, a board station, a stable, a small school, a warehouse, a concert stage, House of Explorers, cable car. All these structures were in natural conditions throughout the year. I think that those who understand LEGO might have noticed that not everything here is built from the original LEGO. Yes, it's true. Since my budget for this project was quite limited and there were a lot of plans, I had to save a lot and use LEGO compatible constructors. Although I still think that LEGO makes the highest quality products out of all the constructors. And if it weren't for LEGO, then there certainly wouldn't be such a cool constructor. In autumn, my project was first written about in the newspaper. I was pleasantly surprised. The city endured the first autumn well. Yellow leaves carpeted in the whole city. It was beautiful. The city survived the first winter well too. The only thing was at first it was difficult to get used to such a delicate snow removal. It was long, but it was worth it. The city celebrated its first New Year. In winter there are rather sharp temperature drops, and I assumed that in the spring there might be cracks in the concrete somewhere, and so it happened. After that, I began to gradually increase the thickness of the concrete pavement from 5-10 to 20-25 centimeters. To do this, in subsequent years, it was necessary for almost completely redo the entire concrete pavement. In the spring, a small zoo and a small convention hall with a shop for pets were already developed, which were installed in the city in the summer. Although in the spring the first military training was held near the city on the site where the central city beach and the medieval castle are now located. Over the summer, I managed to increase the city lake several times, pour the railway into concrete and built a port, a monument to the liberator warrior, and a boarding house. Also this summer I tried to film a talent show called the LEGO Show. And this year, for the first time, the City Day was celebrated in the main square. Floods occurred periodically in the city, and the increase in the number of drains for water helped to get rid of these. Halloween was celebrated for the first time in autumn. A new building, the museum, was also built at that time. Traditionally, New Year celebrations were held on the main square in December. In the early years of the existence of the LEGO City, my brother helped me some ways, but then he stopped being interested in LEGO. In the first half of 2016, I was preparing for exams and entering the institute, so the city did not develop at that time. Over the summer, I managed to expand one of the roads in the center and increase the length of the railway. The museum building was also installed, and the staircase with a platform for boarding the cable car was made. Also during the summer, I was able to make a mobile circus and even shot frame-by-frame animation in it, albeit with poor film quality. At the end of the summer, there was a celebration of the City Day and a military parade dedicated to the Independence Day of Ukraine. In the fall, Halloween was traditionally celebrated. In winter, New Year's holidays were celebrated. Every year, a New Year's fair is held on the main square of the city. The city is decorated for the holidays. In winter, it sometimes happened that during the cleaning of the city from snow, they accidentally hit some building and it had to be repaired. Also, in February and March, my LEGO version of the worldwide popular show called The Voice came out. In the spring, I dedicated to start implementing one of the projects, the drawing of which was made at the lessons at school. This was the beginning of the construction of the shopping and entertainment center with a large concert hall and a nightclub. But for this, I had to dismantle several objects in the center of the city. It was a railway depot made of concrete and a waterfall from where the city lake was smoothly filled with water. At the end of April, we had snow, although at that time The flowers on the trees were already beginning to bloom, and because of this, part of the tree cracked and had to be urgently carefully dismantled so as not to damage the city below. As I remember now, because of this, I missed the first class in mathematics and barely made it to the university because of such weather. As soon as the snow melted, the dismantling of the depot and the waterfall began. In parallel with this, I was built the first floor of the shopping center. The cat helped me with this. In summer, the first floor of the shopping and entertainment center was installed. It was difficult, but I did it. Also, this summer, the education tower was erected on the side of the stage, and a new bank building with a spacious money storage was also erected. To supply water to the lake, it was necessary to make a new waterfall, and I decided to make a small river that would start flowing from a granite waterfall and flow into the lake. Also, this summer, I started filming stop-motion animation of the parade, which was supposed to be released in the spring of 2018. In winter, according to tradition, a New Year's fair was held and a video was made about the city in winter. There were a lot of festive lights in the city this winter. So beautiful! In the spring, the first music festival was held, and a video dedicated to the military parade was filmed and posted. There was also a demonstration dedicated to the International Workers' Day. In the summer, the second and third floors of the shopping and entertainment center were built, which houses a large concert hall. There was also built a building that houses a restaurant and a car dealership, Big Ben Tower, and an apartment building with a detective's office and a hairdresser. The cable car also had to be dismantled. Finally, this summer a lot of different ships began to call the city port. At the end of the summer, the City Day was held, dedicated to the city's 5th anniversary. The city began to take on a familiar look for you. Also in parallel, all summer and autumn, filming of my first LEGO series called Between the Future and Past was carried out. The trailer was released in late October and the first episode in early November. Filming was carried out on the coast of two seas, the Black and Azov, and the Kharkiv region, and of course my LEGO city. It was a very interesting experience when you felt like you were in the middle of a movie. The last episode of this series was released at the beginning of February 2018. It turned out to be quite an interesting series. In December 2018, the last New Year's fair was held at the moment. One of the reasons for this was that I no longer had so much time to clear the city of snow. Starting in January, I began the construction of a group of buildings that should be located next to form an entire street. This is a billiard club and a detective agency, an apartment building with an hairdresser and weapons store, an event agency and music studio, and a city court. At the end of April, the installation of these buildings began, and in the summer a new street appeared in the city. Also on the site of a small conference hall, a scientific center was erected. A small railway station was also opened behind the courthouse. Everything was done on time and the cat is happy. City Day 2018 turned out to be simply gorgeous. For the first time, a large LED screen was used on the concert stage. There was also a pyrotechnic show on the water. Golden autumn and some photos of winter. In February, construction began on the LEGO University, which later became the LEGO School. It was completed in March. In the spring of 2020, the coronavirus drove everyone home. And in between writing my bachelor's thesis, I was working on a project to rebuild the railway station, reduce the number of railway tracks in the city center and create a large railway depot on the outskirts of the city. After successfully defending my diploma, I began the reconstruction of this part of the city. For this, the old railway station and the light factory were dismantled and also had to completely demolish and rebuild a concrete road bridge. This was necessary to expand the embankment. Because of this, the zoo and the stable had to be dismantled. But thanks to this place appeared for the construction of an entire residential area along the embankment. In total, it turns out that during the summer it was built a school, a central bank, a railway station and a railway depot, and the first apartment building on the waterfront with a tourist agency on the ground floor, and a large medieval castle. All construction and installation work was delayed until the end of September, so this year the celebration of the City Day was postponed to an autumn. Now the city already has a layout that is familiar to us all, and which is it has now. Some beautiful winter and spring photos. In April, I finally had time to capture the beautiful views of the concert hall from the inside. I should note that in summer it takes as long to clean up the city as in winter because the garbage is quite small. This summer was built another apartment building on the waterfront with a bar on the first floor, and a hostel was built on the site of an old small school. A large medieval castle was erected on the site of the boarding house. This year, together with the City Day, the 30th anniversary of the independence day of Ukraine was celebrated. I haven't yet said that for all these years I took LEGO with me to the sea and to the lake. A few photos from there. In the fall, I did and then defended my master's degree. That's all, the student years flew by as quickly as the school years. What about LEGO? This year I had planned the construction of 5 new buildings, one of which was supposed to be more than 1 meter high, but because of the war, all plans collapsed. I only managed to build a LEGO hospital, the first building with an elevator in the city. And another apartment building with garages on the ground floor and a small roof garden. I also rebuilt a medieval castle while increasing the number of rooms in it and working out the design from the inside. I don't know what will happen to this city and whether I will be able to continue to develop it in the coming years. That's why this year it was decided to make a series of videos dedicated to this project, for which I spent a lot of effort, money and time. It was a very good pastime that taught me new things. Perhaps this chapter, which has the title Lego in My Life, will end here. Or perhaps it was only a preface before the start of a large book. Time will tell. The main thing is that now I'm calm, that in which case detailed information about this Lego city is available on the internet, and if something happens to this project, you can always see how it was during the years of its development. My story is coming to an end. Maybe it seemed too boring to someone since I tried to fit 9 years of the life of my Lego city in one video. But this was necessary in order to structure everything. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, then please like it and feel free to comment and share it with your friends. I will be happy to see among the subscribers of our channel. Good luck everyone and take care of yourself. See you later.